Launched with much fanfare 2 years ago, the production-linked incentive scheme for mobile manufacturers hasn't taken off as was expected. So far, Samsung is the only company to have been eligible for incentives for the last 2 fiscals. However, the incentives are yet to be disbursed. As per a presentation by the Chief Economic Advisor Anantha Nageshwaran, PLI schemes across sectors, including mobile phone manufacturing, are yet to pick up. The presentation highlights that the government was expecting an investment of over 11,000 crores, but so far, nearly 4,300 crores have been invested. So to understand where things currently stand and what's holding back investments, to take the discussion forward, I'm now joined by Hari Om Rai, the chairman and MD of Lava International, and Pankaj Mohindroo, the chairman at the India Cellular in Electronics Association. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Mr. Rai, let me start by asking you, you are one of the applicants of the PLI scheme, in fact, one of the winners of the PLI scheme as well. Can you take us through where things currently stand as far as your own production targets are concerned? You haven't been able to meet the criteria that was set by the government for the PLI scheme. What seems to be the issue?
No, actually, it's about, as we began the last year, and last year the semiconductor shortage was there, and Lava is the only company in the world to have, design to manufacturing from India. And since we were the only company, we buy the chips directly from India. And as we buy the chip directly, we were last in the queue when the chips were to be supplied. So that's the only reason why we have not been able to fulfill the targets last year. And, a lot of other schemes are coming in to support, build the Indian champions. And I think it's just a matter of time that we'll surpass all the targets, etc. The very strategic impact of this PLI scheme, we'll discuss that, once we have that question.
Right. Yes, the PLI schemes are meant to boost domestic manufacturing. But I want to understand from you, you spoke about the chip shortages being one of the constraints that came in the way of you meeting your target for last year. Are you on course to meet the targets this year? Have you been able to increase production, since clearly the chip shortage is no longer as much of a constraint? And you said that you get your chips from India. Where do you source chips from India from?
No, we source our chips from Taiwan and also from Korea and other countries. And, and the shortage has been there for very long. And in this year also, till quite some time back, the shortages have been there. But now the situation has improved and our business is improving now. And we hope to do this, to complete the targets this year.
You're hoping to complete the targets this year, but can you give us some numbers? What is the current production? Because when we last spoke, you had talked about doubling production capacity. How much have you invested in adding capacity? What is the current production for Lava?
No, so let's first of all, I think you need to understand that, first of all, the PLI scheme has never been for a domestic manufacturing. The PLI scheme has come as a boost to ensure that, we start exporting to the world. Actually, that's the reason why PLI came. Because all of the domestic requirement of India is getting manufactured in India already. So that's the reason why PLI has come, and therefore, and our export business, we are looking at various other levers to start exporting, and being globally competitive is one of the levers to start exporting. And a lot of other actions are being done by us, which are, in the way. And therefore, we believe that this year we will grow a lot. For example, from last year, our growth rate in the last quarter has been almost, I would say, 60% up. We were 60% up than the last year in the last quarter. So that way we are growing, and in terms of investments, we've already invested what was the required investment. So that investment side is not a problem. But being global competition, demand, etc., are the issues we are sort of trying to find out solutions, and we believe that we'll meet the targets this year.
Okay, let me bring Mr. Mohindroo into the conversation as well. Mr. Mohindroo, good to have you back on the program, and we just wanted to understand where things currently stand as far as the PLI scheme for mobile manufacturers are concerned. Samsung is, according to reports, the only eligible player to get the incentives for both years. That's 20 as well as 21. And I am given to understand that Dixon Paget Electronics, that's the 100% subsidiary of Dixon, has been cleared for receiving the incentives for FY22. Now, can you explain to me where things currently stand? We're still unsure if any actual incentive has been disbursed by the government. Can you clarify that for us?
Shereen, just remember that this is now 5 years. You choose 5 years out of 6 years. So it was a kind of a rollover because of COVID. So Samsung has chosen to be in the first year also, or everyone else has chosen to be in the next 5 years. So this year was the first year. So you are, the 2021 is only a year for one company, and 21, 22 onwards is the year for the other companies. And every company, you see the five global companies, one out of them is going to start this year, which is 22, 23. They were not in 21, 22. All the other companies except one have met the targets and they've crossed the targets. Out of the domestic companies, there were very serious challenges. Paget has met the target in the first year which is the first year out of the next 5 years. And the others, there was an unprecedented situation of, supply issues, which the Lava chairman has just spoken about. This year is looking very, very good. And I think the scheme has stabilized.
Okay.
I think this is a it's a tremendous success, the PLI scheme. It is getting reflected in how exports are shaping up. Last year we exported 45,000 crores, and this year I think we should end up with 75,000 crores of exports. So can you believe it that if you turn the clock back in 2014, could you imagine that India could be exporting? We were importing 80% of our domestic requirement. So everything is turned on its head. It's a tremendous success. Of course, there are huge challenges at the moment. We have to build
Mr.
the
Mohindroo,
Indian
just one
champion
second.
company.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand, where the gap lies, because you're saying that it is a tremendous success, and you also pointed out that there were changes because an extension was granted on the back of industry seeking an extension, saying that because of the pandemic they couldn't meet the targets, and so the government gave a further extension. Now, it's complicated for people who are watching. There's now a different time periods that different companies are looking at. So you said that this year, global companies, 5 global companies have met the targets, but domestic companies are yet to meet the targets.
No, you see 21, 22, 2 out of the 5 domestic companies met the target, and payments have already been made to Paget, which is a Dixon subsidiary. That is the first PLI payment out of all the PLI payments which have been made. Out of the 5 global companies, one for them, the first year is 22, 23. So out of the other, all except one have met the targets and have crossed the targets.
Okay. So, and can you confirm whether Samsung has also been paid the incentives by the government? You confirm that the Dixon subsidiary Paget has been given the incentives, but has Samsung also been given the incentives? Because there were reports suggesting that some clarifications have been sought by the government.
Samsung has not got the payment yet, as far as we know.
Okay. So you're both saying that you believe from this year onwards things are likely to pick up. Can you give me a sense of whether the investment gap that was reflected in the data that the chief economic advisor had put out, where he was summarizing what has happened as far as the PLI schemes are concerned, are we likely to bridge that investment gap? Mr. Mohindroo, let me start by asking you, what are you hearing from your members?
Shereen, there is the investment of the global companies, they've almost all been made already. Investments which had to be made till 25, 26, they have already been made. So that's done. In the Indian companies, investments are being made consistently every year. So that is also on track. As far as the investment side is concerned, it's not a challenge. The PLI scheme is production-linked incentive. So the ethos of PLI is not fixed capital growth, etc., which has been the traditional, policy making strategy. It is on how much you produce, what is your incremental production, and please remember, these are targets on top of very heavy tailwinds, because as Hari Om ji said, we had already achieved our domestic market manufacturing. So for example, if somebody was producing 45,000 crores, the targets for last year, this year are on top of that. These are incremental targets. So what Lava, for example, was producing in the year 2019, these targets are on top of them. So this is a stiff scheme, and I think it's in the interest of the nation, and the scheme has taken off. We are extremely happy about it. Of course, you see, Rome was not built in a day, so there are many other elements in this industry which have to be taken care of. Value addition is another fantastic thing which is happening. Supply chain is taking off. We are you would have heard the employment addition in Hosur by one of the Apple suppliers. It's a great achievement. Yes, please. Yeah.
No, I understand, and which is why the PLI scheme is for a duration of 5 to 6 years, depending on which sector you belong to. And for the mobile phone manufacturing scheme, it is now a 6-year period because an extension was granted. Mr. Rai, let me end by asking you, you believe that this is going to be a better year for you. Can you leave me with numbers? You said you've seen a 60% growth year on year, or was that quarter on quarter? Given the demand situation, especially with the demand flagging at this point in time, given the global economic scenario, how concerned would you be about demand, and what does that then mean in terms of production?
No, I think it'll be not possible for me to share the future numbers, but what we have already done. So I think as far as the last quarter was concerned, as the last half year, we were 60% up in this half year, and going forward, of course, there is a demand is an issue, but since we are we are just the beginners, I would say, and in terms of Indian companies, because we were the highest in terms of target, already we were doing the highest number amongst all the Indian companies, and therefore we have we had the highest target amongst all the Indian companies. So the next 3 months or next 2 months, how they are going to shape up, I think I would not like to comment on that, because we are working on that and we believe that we are going to do well. General business is down, yeah.
Right, demand is down at this point in time, but the hope is that things will pick up. Hari Om Rai and Pankaj Mohindroo, thanks very much for joining us to take us through a status check of the PLI scheme for mobile phone makers. Appreciate your time. We will take a break here on Business 360. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a minute with more.